of November 1969. Marmion Avenue, Blair Atholl was abuzz with engineers and workmen. The media crammed into Sylvia Little's kitchen as she eagerly awaited to become the first house in the street, and indeed in Adelaide, to receive natural gas. Gas that had been extracted from beneath South Australia's desert sands and transported 800 kilometres by pipeline. This was a moment in history, the realisation of a dream, that the desert could yield up its riches and bring a new era of prosperity to South Australia. Something that may not have occurred to Mrs. Sylvia Little that morning as she served up her breakfast of fried eggs.
It was extraordinary at the time, but really 1969 was the culmination of 10 years of hard work in the Cooper Basin, exploring the desert and building a gas plant so far from Adelaide.
It was fantastic because the gas coming to Adelaide signified that after all the years of expenditure, some revenue would be coming in and the company could start to grow on its own right.
The leases that Santos had in South Australia and Queensland were almost the size of Texas. They were huge because the Santos leases started at the northern Queensland border and extended right down nearly to Port Augusta. And they went from the South Australia-New South Wales border west to just beyond Unadilla. 9 dry holes were drilled before we actually had a gas discovery.
Obviously we got a sign of gas at Gidgyalpa 1. We moved then down to Gidgyalpa 2 and started to drill. All of a sudden there's a cry. We've made it. Pay dirt, pay dirt. What do you mean pay dirt? Condensate and gas. Condensate and gas. Within a matter of days, Mr. John Benython, the chairman of Santos, and Mr. Thomas Playford, the Premier of South Australia, arrived to celebrate the find.
Moomba was found after Gidgyalpa, Darralingi, then Talachi, then Della, then Strzelecki and so on. So, we just kept finding things. Once we cracked the secret, we're away.
Once we had established that we had sufficient reserves, the question was how to bring it to the market, and that of course would be in the form of a pipeline. And here again, Tom Playford had quite a hand in it, and he declared that the pipeline had to be a public commodity. And as such, the Pipeline Authority was established, which was initially responsible for the building and the operation of the pipeline.
Moomba was not here. It was just, as you see here, desert, desert, desert for miles and miles.
You imagine, here we are in one of the most remote locations in the world for a project like this, in the desert in this heat, and we had to build this plant.
Well, coming up here in a light aircraft and landing on a dirt airstrip, you could just feel a real pioneer atmosphere up here with the accommodations not like we have today. We were no ensuite bathrooms, no TV. We just had a movie theatre. They showed a movie now and again. And it turned out to be that I didn't start a job. I'd end up starting a 40-year lifestyle.
In fact, first gas in the Moomba plant was the start of an enormous growth phase for Santos. Exploration and drilling activity ramped up, gas discoveries and oil discoveries were made. The liquids project was constructed with a pipeline and plant at Port Benython, and pipelines were constructed to the east coast of Australia, which opened up the eastern seaboard gas market to Santos.
In the 1960s, we South Australians were really excited about the prospect of natural gas coming to Adelaide. Main example of this was the Torrens Island Power Station, which originally had been designed to take oil or coal. It was converted to take natural gas and has proved to be a reliable, really reliable supplier of electricity, largely as a result. Torrens Island is now Australia's largest gas-fired power station, and it was our first. In all of this, Santos played a key role.
We've really seen some incredible innovation over the past 50 years at Santos. We've adopted alternative energy sources for our field operations, including the use of solar-powered pumps for our oil wells. We've integrated efficiency into our drilling operations, such as multiple wells on one location. We're using remote monitoring of our production operations from centres such as this one here in Adelaide.
More than 50 years of production is not just about the oil and the gas that we produce at Santos. It's also a story about the people who built the company and the skills of those who continue to contribute to our ongoing success.
Well, I started in the Queensland coal seam gas business as a graduate and heard about the opportunity to come here to Moomba. It came highly recommended from a number of people, so I decided to take up the challenge. I see a great future here in Moomba. It's definitely the heart of Santos as well, so glad to be here.
Moomba and the Cooper Basin remain at the core of Australia's onshore gas industry. An investment in our foundation asset continues at record levels, and pleasingly, production is growing again. In addition, as part of our contribution to a low carbon future, we are moving towards capturing the CO2 from our Cooper Basin operations and storing it deep underground in the reservoirs where it came from. Santos may be 65 years old this year. However, far from being ready for retirement, we're looking forward to a new and exciting era for both Santos and the Cooper Basin.